Hello folks, and welcome to Brushed Up Minis. Here's a painting tutorial. This time I'm going to be covering how to do Berlin Bravo camouflage pattern on a Primaris Marine. The Berlin Bravo comes from the Berlin Brigade. They were a NATO regiment in West Berlin during the Cold War, and they came up with a camouflage pattern for their vehicles that, if you look at it, actually made the vehicles blend into the background when in the days of very much of optics. To go through what we need, we've got white paint, which I've already used, can get rid of that. Our miniature, I'm going to be using a barley grey, and I'm going to finish it off with a panzer dark grey. These are Vallejo air paints. We'll also need some masking tape. This is Tamiya stuff, very good, expensive but well worth it, and a very sharp blade. Without further ado, let's get on with it. Okay, first things first, we're going to take our masking tape and we're going to cut it down to size. Now, 28mm miniatures, even though they're exaggerated in scale, are quite small, so this 5mm has to come down to 2.5mm. Then take these squares. What we're going to do is we're going to apply them to the separate parts of the armour. Now, with a lot of camouflage patterns, you would have them identical. I'm going to have the pattern varied between miniatures, which gives that little bit of extra individuality and character to the model. So you just apply these sporadically around the model, and for panels. Okay, and here we have it. Our first layer of stickers. Looks like they've been shot with post-it notes. And what I'm going to do now is grab the airbrush, crank it up, and get our grey layer put on. Okay, on with the barley grey. Nice, even, thin coats. Just get the paint out. And there we go. There's our stencils applied for our what will be white spots or squares in the end. From now on, it's just a repeat of the process. Got my stencil squares cut out, and I'm just going to apply them to the model. Alright, that's our second layer of stencils put on. You can see there, a lot of them adjoining to the previous squares, which were white. Now we're just going to get the airbrush out and get some dark panzer grey over this. And now what we're going to do is, now that the paint's dried, we're just going to pick off each of the stencils. Carefully, I'm going to be using this very fine point, which is for cleaning airbrushes normally, and I'm just going to pick away, and I'm going to use tweezers as much as possible. You will scrape bits, and that's okay, we can touch them up afterwards. And there we go. There's our chap. And that's how you do the stencil part. And now I'm going to apply the last base colour that I'll use. And this is for his weapons, his webbing, and all his kit. This green colour is called Russian green. It's extremely cool. And it's very close to the military weapons that you get nowadays. The SA-80 assault rifle and the AUG Steyrs and things. Are quite space age looking. And there we go. And now we're going to move on to shading phase. Firstly, however, I'm going to use the airbrush and I'm going to put a coat of gloss across the entire figure, so as to allow the shade to really pull in the recesses and not stay on the more open surfaces. Okay, so our miniature's got its gloss coat on it. It's all super shiny. Now I'm going to add some Nuln oil. Okay, and here we go. We have our chap to date. He's got his shading on. You can see he's still shiny. And we're just going to take this grey and we're just going to edge everything, just to highlight it. Now for this we're using a medium sea grey, and I'm going to make sure that it's watered down a fair bit, at least 1-for-1. Now because it has the gloss coat here, it's a very smooth surface that we're painting onto. There we go. This is arm done. You can see all the edges. Now our figure has got its grey lining on it. I'm going to push on and we're going to do the highlights of those grey lines. Now what I'm going to do is take a very watered down white paint. Now this highlight is going to be applied quite lightly, only to the corners of things and to the raised edges of things. It just gives that extra layer of separation. And there we go. Little white highlights, just to raise the edges. And there we go. Our lining is done across the whole model, including the highlights. So now doing his kit, I'm going to do Russian green, and I'm just going to follow the same process as before, but this time in the weapon. I'm going to fill in the panels mostly, not going to highlight the edges here, just fill in the panels and it'll give it this flat green finish. So we have our flat green done, the weapons and kit and its webbing and whatnot. And now I'm just going to go through the same process as I did for the armour, with taking a lighter shade, just lightening the edges, and then lightening that up to an almost white and finishing in the highlights. You can see it there. It's the edging on. And I'm going to go straight on to do the actual white highlight now as well. And there we are, little white points on it, making all the separate panels of the weapon quite distinct. Now, for the last little bit, I'm going to do his eyes, and I'm just going to do him a glowing red, which offsets nicely against the black and whites. This, I'm just going to use a flat red, followed by a blazing orange, and then highlight it with a yellow spot. There we have it, our eyes painted, glowing menace. And so now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to stick them together, I'm going to put them on one of my bases, and then I'll give the whole thing going over with some matte varnish. And that's us. Thanks for watching this video tutorial, I really enjoyed doing it. Please feel free to like, subscribe, comment, give me any pointers on how I can make these videos better, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Cheers.